Hey, what's up guys? Ben Milliken here, back for Carl's Mystery Tackle Box. You know, it's no secret that when it gets really hot outside like it is today, we got no clouds in the sky, the sun is high, and it's very hot outside. That is a great time to do one of my favorite things of all time, and that is get off the shore, push out off the bank, locate some fish out deep, whether that be on cover, on different types of structure. It can be one of the best ways to catch some of the biggest bass of your entire summer season. So in today's video, I'm going to show you guys a couple tips, tricks, baits, a little bit of everything that I like to use to catch more bass when they get out offshore during the summer. You're not going to want to miss this one. Let's go. Now, before we get into the juicy details of some secret bait or best presentations or anything to catch those fish offshore, one thing you need to know is the most important part of catching fish offshore is finding fish offshore, and more importantly, finding the cover that they live on offshore. And there's no better way to do that than spending time back behind the graph of your boat. Side imaging, if you have side imaging, if you can afford it, there's never been more affordable options as there is now on the market. It cuts the learning curve immensely. With side imaging, you can shoot an image out off the side of your boat. You can shoot it 100, 200 feet out and see whatever hard spot is out there on the bottom. Now, obviously, GPS goes hand in hand with that. So what I like to do is I scan around. You know, first thing, I always look for an online map. See if there's a contour map with some rock piles or brush piles marked. And then I get behind the wheel and I scan around for those areas. And when I find them, I'll mark each corner of a rock pile, or I'll mark the top of a brush pile, whatever it may be, because those spots offshore are always going to be the best possible places you can look to start your day. All right, so once you get all those spots marked up and you got those brush piles and rocks and road beds and everything marked on your GPS, you go to fish them. One secret tip I can share with you guys that I was never told, but it will cut your learning curve immensely when fishing offshore, is to use a heavier bait. Use a heavier bait, it cuts the learning curve. Use tungsten, something super heavy, 1/2, 3/4, 1 ounce weight. That's going to keep your bait down in the water column, and you're gonna feel everything that's going on down there. That is absolutely huge. And not only that, maintaining bottom contact is one of the most important things to catching these fish offshore. And as far as bottom contact goes, it's the same with the brush pile. You want that bait coming up over those limbs, falling straight down. That's when you're gonna get your bites. So let's talk about some baits I like to use to maintain bottom contact. You know, I think one bait that's really stands out to me as far as keeping your bait down there but having a natural presentation and a bait that works in a lot of different situations, this guy right here, a swing head with a creature bait. The way I like to fish this bait, quite simply, I get about 20 to 50 feet back off of that rock pile, brush pile, whatever I'm fishing, and I'll fire a long cast out over that. So once that bait's out over that, I want to let it sink down to the bottom, and once it hits the bottom, it's going to be very simple. You know, a lot of people think you gotta reel this in, and a lot of people have success, you know, with a wobble head, with a swing head type bait, reeling it in like Tommy Biffle made it famous doing a couple years ago. But you don't got to do that. My most effective way to fish this bait with any type of plastic on the back, especially a creature bait, is to just simply tighten your line up and just drag it along that hard bottom area. It comes over brush and stuff extremely well also, as long as you got that hook point penetrated into that plastic. Then it's a deadly effective way to feel what's down there, feel a spot out, and most importantly, catch a lot of fish on it. Now, if the old swing head's not getting the job done, the next bait up in my deep water rotation that I have a ton of success on is Old Faithful, the 10-inch worm right here. It's nothing sexy, it's nothing new, but it flat out catches freaking fish. I probably have caught more fish on a 10-inch worm this season than any other bait I've thrown in my entire arsenal. It catches fish in rock, it catches fish in brush, it catches fish where there's no cover and you're just fishing points and structure and grass and everything else. It's a flat out fish catcher, and not only big fish. A lot of people get scared by that 10-inch size. This thing catches 10-inch fish, it catches 8-inch fish, it catches 10-pound fish, everything in between. It's a great bait. Let me tell you guys how I like to fish this guy. For me, by far the most effective way I found to fish this bait is on a Texas rig, and I always leave the sinker unpegged. I like to have that nice and free flowing. To me, it just gives the bait a lot more of a natural action. It lets that bait kind of slowly fall down instead of being right behind that weight like everyone else is doing. But once again, I try to get away with as heavy a weight as possible. Now, if you're fishing a really nasty rock pile or rock area in 2, 5 to 4, 5, 6 feet of water, you're not gonna want a big weight. You know, a 1/4 ounce weight is excellent for that. But if I'm fishing grass, or I'm fishing more than 10 feet of water, or I'm fishing deep brush piles and stuff, 1/2 ounce weight 100% of the time. I like to, once again, go as heavy as possible. I like my bait to get down to that cover, and I like for it to fall over that cover immediately. I don't want it up waving around above there or pulling off to the side. I want to feel what everything is going on down there the entire time. Now, a worm is effective in a ton of different cover, like I just said, whether you're on a long point and you're fishing some grass off the end of it, or you're fishing a rock pile or a brush pile. But my favorite way to fish this bait by far is around brushy cover. And the interesting thing about a worm is this time of the season, fish seem to get really dialed in on that long worm presentation, even when you're up shallow. So when you're flipping brush piles that are maybe offshore, but they're only in 5 to 10 feet of water and they're sticking up out of the water, I've caught a ton of fish lately just flipping a 10-inch worm, the same area that other guys are throwing beavers, creature baits, brush hogs, craws, you know, jigs, stuff like that. The 10-inch worm just flat out gets the job done. It catches a ton of fish. Now, along with that, I catch fish equally as well in deeper brush piles. So if you mark something off on your side imaging, off to the side of your boat, you have a nice nasty brush pile, I throw that worm out there. That's probably my first bait I always reach to whenever I'm fishing deep brush. Now, a lot of times when you're fishing out offshore, you get done fishing a piece of brush or a nice rock pile or something, and you're riding the struggle bus, you're not getting any bites or anything, and then you move the trolling motor off the side of it and you see all these suspended fish off the side of that pile that you think should have been on the pile. They should have been there munching your bait. So what do you do in that situation? You know, you panic. No, you don't panic. You pick up a bait that fishes very effectively through those suspended fish. And the one I like to turn to a lot of the time is a small swim bait. This bait right here is ultra effective at catching those suspended fish. And it's not a difficult thing to, you know, suspended fish are extremely difficult to catch, but it's not a difficult way to fish this bait. You very simply just back off that area. I like to drop a waypoint down there where those fish were suspended at, and I'm just gonna count it down. You know, usually this one falls, this little Optimum swim bait falls about 1 foot per second. I'm gonna count it down there to where I saw those fish, and I'm just gonna have a slow wind all the way back to the boat right through those areas. You know, in this part of the country where I'm from, we have a ton of crappie and bluegill, and a lot of times bass get super dialed in to suspended balls of bluegills and crappie in the middle of summer, and this is one of my favorite ways to catch them out of those areas, and a lot of times it is the only way to catch them out of those areas. So do not be afraid to pick up a little tiny swim bait, a 2 or 3 or 4 inch swim bait, whatever size swim bait those bait fish are in your area, and you can catch a ton more fish. Well, that's all I got for you guys today. You know, don't be afraid to get out offshore. I see a lot of beginning anglers that are really having a hard time grasping or understanding the concept of getting out off the bank to catch more fish. Use some side imaging to find some hard spots or brush piles on the bottom. Use as heavy as a weight as you can get away with to feel what's down there and keep your bait low in the water column. And then if you see some fish suspended off the side, pick up something small like a little swim bait, a natural swimming bait, and pull it right through the middle of them. It's not difficult. If you're not catching them in that spot, keep moving around till you are. That's all I got for you guys today. Thanks for watching this one. I'm out of here.